What makes bisexual men some of the most misunderstood and misrepresented voices in the LGBTQ plus community? In this episode, we explore the unique challenges faced by bi men, from navigating the hurdles of coming out to the nuanced journey of embracing queerness in a world that often questions their identity. In today's episode, our guest shares their personal experience and insights, helping us unpack the social and cultural forces that still keep many bisexual men in the closet.
And to help us understand why there are seemingly less bisexual men out there in the world, we have with us Brock Boyne, they, he pronouns, who is a bisexual icon, a horticulturalist, workshop facilitator, Reiki practitioner, environmentalist, and they're Emily's partner. They clearly have a type. In their life, Brock has undergone a profound transformation from a life of addiction, past criminal associations, and toxic masculinity, of course, to now embracing their queerness, their spirituality, and their multicultural heritage. Brock, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I need someone to pinch me because I've been a fan for such a long time.
You're so obsessed with that. So the first place we want to start is your personal story. And I'm wondering if you can tell us about your first bisexual experience.
I was in one of those brat camps. So
Brat, you were a brat. Brat.
I was I was a brat.
Yeah.
Not the brat that you guys all know, but the brat that was dealing with a lot of addiction issues, getting in trouble at school. I was robbing, stealing from people, and being associated with some pretty toxic individuals. And this was my way out. And this brat camp was out in the wilderness, so we had to learn survival skills, take care of ourselves, take me into nature in a raw form where I don't have cell phone, I don't have the clothes I want to wear, I don't get the food that I want to have, and I had to shit in a hole. So,
Damn.
yeah, not
That's
fun.
that's raw.
That's raw. And I was out all the way in Utah in the desert. So we're far away from anything, any civilization. And when we were out there, I started to befriend this lovely individual. His name was Peter. I don't know if most men can identify with this, but like, guys like to flirt with each other.
Oh, yeah?
Absolutely.
Everyone's a little bi. A little bi
There's
sometimes.
a spectrum there, right?
Yeah.
And I think at the time you're all the way out from nobody knows what you're doing. None of the homies know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So when I was there, no one's going to know what I'm doing. So I started flirting with Peter. At first, I thought it was just being playful and we're just being friendly, whatever. But there was a little bit of hand touching.
They were roommates.
Oh, yes. At one point, we were on a hike and I was able to give him a kiss. And it was very quick, but it felt so right, but wrong. Because I had been taught, no, I'm not supposed to like this person. I can't like this person. We're just playing. It's not real. Then afterwards, once I finished the program, he ended up giving me his number. And I was just like, I want to keep this number, but something's telling me not to. And if anybody at home found out, I got to get rid of it now. I have to get rid of it. So that was my first experience. And I still think about him a lot. I feel bad about that because he wanted to connect. He wanted to connect afterwards. And people who deal with addiction, like I knew also in the back of my mind, he might not be around.
Right.
I've lost a lot of friends to addiction. So it sucked. But then I kind of buried that in me. Once I went back into the real world, I couldn't show those feminine qualities that I was starting to feel and wanting to be with a man. And I don't want to say it was an awakening for me because I didn't feel liberated. I felt ashamed.
Peter.
Hi, Peter.
Would you want Peter to reach out to you if Peter is watching this right now?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Love that.
So if there's a Peter out there that remembers a Brock
I went to Second Nature.
in nature in Utah, in the
Utah.
desert, that went to the exact same camp for brats.
Yeah.
Reach out. Or if somebody knows a Peter that did this, reach out.
Yeah. I hope the internet finds him. That would be cool. You mentioned how men like to flirt with each other. How do you think that this happens?
It happens all the time. And I think like hetero men don't even want to realize it or like actualize it because they're afraid, they're going to be like, someone's going to think I'm gay now. But then there would be times where we're having conversations and it's like, you're hot, you're this, I want to kiss you. When I started to hang out with a lot of like hyper toxic males, it only came out when we were really inebriated. Guys that were just raw, tough dudes. Then I would see it come out when we were inebriated. And that was interesting because in those circles, anything that was feminine, that was seen as a way, oh, you're weak. And I'm going to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
But because these guys were deeply associated with each other and they held a lot of confidence within each other, that would never get out unless we were seeing you do something else. Physical, that was an issue. But the flirtation coming out, the flirtation really came out when people were having substances.
I think men having these like big giant muscles is actually them like signaling and flirting to each other, because people have done like a lot of like, who do you think is hotter, this person or this person? And it's like probably like a dad bod, like a medium muscular build, and then like a crazy like super jacked person
build, yeah.
And everyone says like the middle one is the ideal, and then they're like, and then who would you rather be with, like the super jacked person or the dad bod? And they're like, definitely the dad bod. They're like not very many women are actually attracted to this like big giant man. But a lot of men though, you'll ask like which is the best physique, they're like the biggest one. So I'm like
like the most jacked.
Totally.
Yeah. And then I mean it is a common thing, even for like professional bodybuilders that have girlfriends, that have wives, etc. You interview the wives, you interview the girlfriends. Which physique do you like him best at? And always the answer is like, oh, I like when he has a little bit more chub on him. I like when he's like off season because he's like a little bit more husky. He's a little bit like softer. Wow. And so it's never ever really for the girl, is it?
No.
Interesting. I'll speak for me. I loved wrestling. Like, I mean, WWE, WWF, loved it. Yeah. And I didn't understand why I was just like, oh, these guys are jacked, right? Like, I want to be like them. But then I also liked how they looked. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then I see other men who are like that. And that's where I started to realize, even now deconstructing where my bisexuality came from when I was a kid, I was seeing guys shirtless running. And I was just like, I want to be their friends. I want to be like men. Yeah. And I'm just like, but I've been taught, no, I'm supposed to like women. No one's taught me that it's okay to like a jacked guy.
Interesting. So I'm wondering, after this, I'm going to call it your Brokeback Mountain experience.
It was in the wilderness though, sure.
Yeah. I'm like, from there until, when would you say you really started embracing your queerness?
Really a couple of years ago.
From there until like a couple of years ago when you really started embracing it, what do you think continually held you back from embracing your bisexuality?
I think it's also cultural things that influenced me a lot. I was afraid of what my family would think. Mm-hmm. I was afraid, even my grandmother, she still doesn't know. Mm-hmm. Hopefully she doesn't know what Queer Collective Podcast is, then she doesn't hop on it.
She's actually a Patreon supporter.
She subscribed.
Yeah. She donates $5 a month.
Yeah, okay. Cool. She's deaf, actually, so I know.
Closed captions.
We have subtitles.
Exactly. I think, it was definitely cultural things. Being so hyper-masculine for a good portion of my life, I found that protected me. That made me, there was a lot of privilege in that. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to let that go. I was so afraid of what everybody else would think about me. And that's something that's trauma that I dealt with from being in such violent situations when I was younger. And that's where my reasoning also came into play too, because I also thought, like, I can't still be masculine and be bi, right? Like,
that's definitely another common stereotype for sure.
Yeah. I've now met more bi men and I'm just like, oh, you guys are pretty masked. My own stereotype got kind of like deconstructed, because then I was just like, oh shit, you can be masked. You don't need to be super femme, or you can be in between and you can be fluctuating. Another thing that kept me in the closet for a good duration of time was I came out to one of my partners, and thinking that they were very PC, they were queer themselves, I thought this would be a space where I would be able to talk about it, and they just kind of gaslit me. And I was just asking a question like, I don't know if I might be, I just like, women. I might like this person. And I've thought of this. And I was like, you don't know that. You don't know that. You shouldn't really be doing that. And I cried. I bawled my eyes out because I was just like, yeah, I'm not going to go back out. I'm not going to talk to somebody about it. And then I gladly I had friends, queer friends that would like talk to me and just like, that's fucked up.
It's interesting, a lot of the things that you're bringing up. I was looking at a research study titled Issues in Bisexual Men's Life, and it was in the journal called Current Opinion in Psychology. And there was one piece saying that bi men experience higher rates of like worse health outcomes in terms of like mental and physical health. And all of the things that you're bringing up were all like reasons cited why this is happening. One of the big ones is the constant need of disclosure and coming out, like being assumed as either heterosexual or homosexual in certain spaces. It's like if you're in a gay men's space, you're assumed as homosexual, then you're having to come out as bisexual there, like constantly. And then in heterosexual spaces, you're also assumed and also having to come out. And one thing that was like causing a lot of stress for people is like negative disclosure experiences with partners. Unfortunately, it is a lot of people in relationships, like men in relationships with women, and even like bisexual women, like you were saying, who are questioning your identity and making it a negative experience for you. And I mean, just for people to know, like what constitutes like a positive coming out experience with someone is being felt like you're loved in that experience, being asked about your experience, and having your partner express pride and support in that experience. And I think those are ways that you can make your partner feel seen. And it is really sad that this is continually happening for bi men, where it's like people are just shutting down your experience rather than celebrating it with you. Kind of what's tied to that too is what you were saying is like this strong association between gender and sexuality. We're seeing like the pressure to uphold this like level of masculinity, like you were saying, is like a really big thing that is keeping bi men in the closet as well, and like giving them these really horrible health outcomes is like them feeling like they cannot be themselves, because if I am bisexual, if I'm having sex with men, then that means something about my gender. It means that I'm a more feminine person. It means I'm like less attractive to women. Bi men who struggle with their masculinity, they experience reduced likelihood of disclosing their identity to people, having worse mental health outcomes, and they're also practicing riskier sexual health practices. Another piece you're talking about is like exclusion too. So like when it came to mental health distress, like a key concern quoted in this like qualitative study was fears about experiencing discrimination and exclusion from both heterosexual and LGBT communities and venues too. So it's like you're not really able to like find this support and community that lesbian and gay people are finding. For example, it's like you're feeling left out of both spaces, which is really hard.
I find it's been hard to now want to be in straight spaces. It just doesn't feel the same to me anymore. And I'm afraid that like, oh, he's too gay. When I've gone into gay spaces, as soon as I'm being seen as someone who is hetero or even queer or bi, the energy changes immediately. And that's something that was disarming to me because I didn't expect it. Also being an ally, come to Pride, being a volunteer, and while there's this like, oh, I'm here to support, I'm here for this inclusivity. Where's this hate coming from? Why is it coming at me? I'm here to hold space. I'm here to be. Yeah. And I can't be.
Considering how much you were taught not to be bisexual, considering also the exclusivity that you experience both in gay spaces and hetero spaces, what made you be like, no, I'm going to be out and proud and embrace my bisexuality?
To be honest, you guys.
Aw, what? We're changing lives every single day.
No, seriously. I think it's the platform that you guys gave me, and also, confiding in you guys about how my experience has been. The community that you guys have harnessed has made me want to be in these spaces now. Seeing what you guys have done in the platform that you guys have put out there, and also the sense of pride that you both show, it gave me a little bit more inspiration to jump back into that. Be an example, maybe.
I will say there's not a lot of out and proud bisexual men in the world. And even with the bisexual parties that are held right here in the city, majority of it is queer femme-presenting people or queer women. It's like a 1-to-100 kind of ratio at the moment. So, I mean, it is like something that is highly stigmatized and something that already as bisexual people, you already feel that exclusion from every space. And women experience this a lot as well, but it's even more so for men. I think that's why it's so important to create like queer spaces rather than like a lesbian space or a gay space, because I mean lesbians do this too, where it's like, oh, you're not like on either side, like you need to pick something.
Yeah, I was definitely gonna say like the movement that we create or are part of is like the queer liberation movement, where it's like anything you want to be or present yourself as is good and is welcome. Thinking back on your early years, what were some signs that you weren't straight?
I'll have to go back to wrestling. Really, it was watching oiled men.
Do I want to be him or do I want to fuck him?
I got it.
Touch me. Just fucking touch me and
touch
slam me. Like fucking. What I noticed when I was younger, me and my cousin, we would get all the pillows and throw them down in my grandparents' basement. And we both loved wrestling. So we would both take our shirts off and we would just grab each other and then slam each other. But for me, that was so erotic. And I always wanted to do it. I'm just like, can we take our shirts off? And he's just like, dude, we're not wrestling right now. Like, chill. And like, that was something. But then that let's get naked. Like, and I'm a person of touch. I've always been an affectionate person. And my mother always kind of harnessed that in me. My father, on the other hand, he didn't. She would even tell my kindergarten, Brock's a hugger. He may need a hug or two. But at the same time, too, I think that also played into, like, I always wanted to have, like, skin, touch, some way. And from men. But I don't want to say, like, my mother didn't teach me that was okay. It was just not. She wasn't taught it. Yeah. Nobody was taught it. And I think there was a little bit of a stigma with my father. I think he had been abused as a child and he was just like very adamant. And that kind of put some little bit of like my own homophobia in my mind because if men touch men, that was a no-go.
But you get hugs from like your female teachers.
Brock needs a hug.
I need a hug.
Yeah.
I need a hug once in a while.
Yeah.
You just get a little nervous, but if you hug it out, it'll be okay.
You talked about like making this shift into toxic masculinity to protect yourself, but who were you before then? Like as a child, like what was your inner child like?
I was a lovable kid. I was a weird, lovable kid that wanted to be a T-Rex. I wanted to be a T-Rex. Like, who doesn't want to be a dinosaur? Like, they were cool. Jurassic Park was out. It was big. I just was a creative kid, too. I loved to draw. I loved to draw what was in my mind. I loved to be these characters that I made up or that I saw in movies. And my mother really harnessed that creativity and, like, allowed me to be that kid. But my dad was opposite. He's just like, go into sports, do this, do that. I would be playing basketball and they're running back and forth through the court. I'm standing in one spot. I don't want to have anything to do with this. And I just hated it. I hated it. I was playing baseball. I was pulling grass out of the fucking field. And, and my dad's just like, catch the ball. I'm like, fine. It just felt like I was always going against my dad. And he was always trying to make me more masculine, more tough. I think he was trying to put his own trauma onto me. And he thought that me being in touch with my emotions, me being a creative, me being who I was going to get me bullied. Yeah. And the fact of the matter is I was bullied a lot. And I think now it's a little bit more accepted.
I think yes and no. Yeah. Like, I think it was getting there. And then now with this sort of, like, conservative lean, all this, Trump stuff is, like, it's become stricter again. Like, people are trying to police gender roles more and more again. I think you get that less in city centers. Where it's, like, very liberal and leftist. But you go outside of this, like, bubble and I think it's still very hard growing up for kids, especially with like how much conservative media is blowing up. Like the kind of content that young boys are consuming right now is like so many right-leaning podcasts. It's also tied to the fact that so many young men are feeling like excluded from society and are having a hard time finding their place in society, and then they see this person being like, do this, this, and this, and they just like want to follow that roadmap to make themselves feel better. And I think that also ties into the way that you got caught up in criminal activity, substance abuse, like intense toxic masculinity. It was like to protect yourself too.
Yeah, it was a way of adapting. I was really good at adapting and becoming something that I wasn't. Being also biracial, I knew I could fit in with different people and that they would feel secure around me because I looked like them. I had certain traits like them. That was also my armor. That was also a way of just trying to blend in and not let people know who I really was. But once I think it was taught to me, you put the mask on long enough, you become the mask. Yeah, it can be really tough to let that all go and to not make that be a part of who I am today. I was not letting the inner Brock be. I was not holding him. I was not loving him. It's still a journey to love him. I still have lapses where I feel like armor can protect me again. I feel like it can protect me again. But no, if I put that armor on, I'm going to hurt people again. I'm going to hurt myself.
That's like the sad journey that I think a lot of us are on as adults is we all knew who we were as young kids. And then you lose that because of societal expectations of you, bullying, all these different things. And now, like, in your 20s and your 30s, however late this comes to you, is like you are now trying to rediscover who you were and who you knew you were as a child.
Totally. I feel like as a young kid, I was a young boy.
Yeah,
Totally.
just a little lad.
I was just a wee lad. Yeah. And then as soon as like puberty started hitting and like people started liking each other, I was like, oh damn, okay, now I have to be
this out.
feminine now.
Yeah, I need to figure out this gender role thing.
Yeah, I gotta perform femininity now because there's no way anybody will find me attractive if I'm like a wee lad. When you're a kid, like nobody thinks too much of it. Like my parents didn't think too much of it. It was like, oh, like they like what they like and they're like sporty and they're like a little bit like more tomboyish or whatever. Right. It's interesting that like adulthood demands this like performance of you.
Yeah, I mean, like Brock said, it's like a mask that when you wear it too long, it becomes you.
Become it, yeah.
And it's really hard to take off.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So speaking of masks, what is your experience navigating queer spaces now?
There's been many beautiful moments where I feel like I felt liberated, I felt seen, I felt heard, and I could be myself and let down my guard. Being in a queer relationship too, having you like also allow me to have that space and help me through like the trauma that I had from my previous relationship, saying that it's okay, you can be this. And, whether it was like putting makeup on me, whether it was like suggesting what I wear, it
making some strong suggestions.
Strong suggestions. We gotta, yeah. But
don't wear that. Ew. Put this on. Yeah.
Yes. It was a scary thing for me to go through, but I felt so much safer. I felt, oh, okay, I can relax now. I don't need to have my shoulders up like this all the time. I can relax a bit. And those experiences have been great. And those experiences have been wonderful and celebrated to this day. And I still like hold true to that. But then there's been experiences where we went to Pride. We went to Disco on a Thursday. I'm getting looks from guys. I'm just like, okay, I like that attention.
Because that one is particularly, that specific event on the Thursday is mostly like a gay man audience.
Yeah. Hey, I'm coming into these spaces. I'm just trying to be out there. Yeah. And when we went in, like, it was fine. Everything was good. We started dancing. But as soon as if I touched him, then all of a sudden I hear bickering. I hear whispering. And me, I have hypervigilance because that was a way I survived a lot of the time. And I'm just like seeing these people talking to each other. I'm like, what the fuck? And then I'm chiming in on what they're saying. And they say, oh, is this a queer couple? Or is this this? Is this that? Oh, they're appropriating our culture. I'm just like, what the fuck? And then the energy level just changed. Is this what it is? Is this what I'm going to experience now? I don't like it. And I think for both of us, it was, it wasn't a great experience whatsoever.
It's funny because I'm like half deaf and and not hypervigilant.
And also don't have any spatial awareness or any depth perception. Can we keep listing them?
I'm completely oblivious. So I didn't really notice. I think I was just like, oh, it's like there's not a lot of like queer, like it didn't feel like a very queer space. And that was making me feel a bit like less, like I was having like less of a great time. It just felt like a very like white gay space. But then afterwards you told me that and then it really upset me. It was like saying like, what are they queer? And like assuming that like we're straight and that kind of thing. It's like they're taking up our space and it was like, whoa, like very intense assumptions.
Queer couples exist in opposite sex relationships as well.
Yeah.
And like that actually is not uncommon at all. I would say it's very common.
Bisexual people are actually like the majority of the LGBTQ plus community. like statistically, but are considered like the silent majority because not a
Right.
lot of people feel comfortable identifying that way in the community.
Depending on the type of relationship that you're in, whether it's same sex or opposite sex type of relationship, you get assumed into these roles and often have to like come out to like over and over and over again. Now it's like, how am I going to appear like more queer? Is it going to be the clothes that I wear? Is it going to be like what I post on Instagram? You really do have to make sort of more of an effort. But even when you do, if you're in particular spaces that are like kind of, you know, have a very exclusionary crowd, you're going to get, unfortunately, looks.
What's rooted in this is kind of something you mentioned, which is like being straight passing.
Yeah.
And lesbian and gay people seeing that as a presumed privilege, so potentially having like some resentment towards that. The thing that I'd kind of want to say about that is I think in previous episodes I've felt like, yeah, that's super valid in terms of like safety, you know what I mean? It's like there is a certain level of safety associated with being in like this straight presenting relationship, but I'm not actually sure if I agree that it's 100% like a privilege anymore. And
I think it comes with pros and cons.
I think it comes with pros and cons, and I think it's also like kind of misrepresenting it too. Like I'd argue that when thrown at the bisexual community, it's actually like a very unhelpful concept. I think it also ignores the fact that many trans people who are visibly queer and bisexual people are just can be visibly queer as well. It ignores that fact that like just because you're in this straight presenting relationship doesn't mean people aren't clocking you. And I think also it doesn't acknowledge the amount of lesbian and gay folks who do have straight passing privilege as well when they're not with their partner.
Sure.
It's like you also can reap the benefits of that, but you are not experiencing this level of like exclusion from the community that bisexual people are experiencing. I'd argue that heteronormativity in mainstream culture and the homonormativity in the queer community actually results in bi people being more invisible and having less access to community than like other queer folks would have. Yeah. Like I was mentioning before, I think that results in a lot of like actually really poor health outcomes for people. Those of us who are able to pass as like quote unquote straight are actually like burdened by this like deep lack of belonging in both communities. And I think like this concept of straight passing privilege is actually like very divisive in my opinion. I think that it's very like anti-bisexual, and I think it's actually like anti-queer liberation, because like we were saying is like the notion of queerness is like you can be whatever you want. There isn't any rules placed on you anymore.
I think bisexuality is often seen as something dirty. For example, if a bisexual woman is getting hit on by a lesbian because they're presumed also lesbian, but then they find out they're bisexual, a lot of the times the reaction will be like, oh, well, what are you doing here then? A recent one that I heard was a gay dude got hit on by a girl, and he was like, ew, I'm gay. Like, I can't believe she thought I could be like bisexual.
Oh.
But
like it's gross.
It's gross. You get these kinds of like reactions from people who are super into like either being gay or being a lesbian. And I think that you can be super into it and love being gay and love being a lesbian without thinking that the other is gross.
Yeah. It's doing the same thing that like a straight man would do if they got hit on by a man that everyone would think is like a very toxic behavior where you're like, ooh, and you get kind of like aggressive towards the person hitting on you. Yeah. It's like, that's actually really toxic behavior. Like it shouldn't matter who you're getting hit on. It doesn't matter like how you're signaling to other people. To me, I think it's a form of creating like this protective boundary. For lesbians, it's like protecting your woman-centered environment, which is like this safe space for you. And then for gay men, it's protecting your like men-centered environment. You've created this safe space now, and you're scared to let anyone in. And you're kind of like creating these rules similar to heteronormativity that is like designed to keep you safe, but it's actually not necessarily keeping you safe, in my opinion. It's like excluding other people.
Yeah, well, we continue to see how rampant the exclusion is within our community. In our last bisexual episode, there was a story mentioned where the 3-something girls went to a lesbian bar and they weren't let in because they looked too straight. Just by the way that they looked. They had no idea who these people were. They didn't know like their history, but it was like, you look too straight, you're not allowed in.
It is off-putting. And just on top of that, like, you know, I don't want to be that person that is not feeling like making someone feel unsafe in these spaces. I want people to feel safe around me. I don't want, and that's why I've even questioned a lot of the times when I go, I don't want to go to these spaces because I'm like, I don't want to make someone feel unsafe if I'm presenting that way. And I've like now gone through so many times in my head, am I looking queer enough? Am I looking this enough? Am I signaling? Am I doing this better? Like I've brought that up to you where I just be like, am I queer enough to be with you? Am I queer enough? It's been sometimes a spiral for me to go through that a lot. And it's caused a lot of turmoil within myself. And I've had to like regather myself. You've also been supportive in that and like trying to tell me, no, you are. I think I'm starting to find some of that confidence back now. Slowly.
To be fair, it also like equally tripped me up in the beginning too, because I've been used to being in our dynamic for the past like 6 years where I've never been presumed as like straight or like I'm not a part of the community. And like you can even look back on that bisexuality episode that we did previously and I'm like, does that still happen? Like all of these things, like I was like, what? That happens still? Like I didn't believe it. And now I'm like experiencing it almost every single time we go out and I'm like, holy shit. Like it's like really, really rampant. It got me in my head as well too. And I had to really like sit with myself and be like, I am queer enough. These people's opinions don't matter to me. Like I am okay. Like and now I'm able to like affirm you with that too, but I definitely had like my own spiral with it as well because it's like it was very jarring and shocking. I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know that this is like where the community actually is.
This podcast is proudly sponsored by Vizzy Hard Seltzer, and with Vizzy's vibrant flavors you can now follow your own vibe.
For those of you who know Queer Collective, you know that Vizzy has been a longtime supporter of us and our mission to create accurate and positive representation for the entire queer community. So if you are a hard seltzer drinker, we highly recommend drinking and supporting one that you know also supports the queer community.
And now, back to the episode.
So this is an audience question for you. What's your experience been exploring same-sex flirting and hookups?
I've definitely questioned it. In a sense of like, how do I approach this? Like, how do I approach a guy? And luckily they are also out and I came out to them at the same time they came out to me. And they've been a great, like an amazing support to me in a sense of like figuring out how do I like physically connect with men? Because I don't know. I don't really know that much. But out of the experiences that I have had, like I've asked them and it's like, so how do I do this? How do I do that? And he's just like, do what you feels good to you. So I'm just like, oh, okay.
Right,
That's a
I
good
have
starting
all
point.
these same body parts.
You know what to do with yourself, so do it. It took a little bit of the ease off of it, but even like making out with a guy, like I was just like, maybe I should do it this way or should I do it that way? Will he like it this way or that way? And I'm like, as soon as I get out of my head, it's no different on how I would approach someone who's a woman or an AFAB individual. Once I let go of what society has told me and how I should do it or what I think I should do, letting that go.
Yeah.
So as you do it more, you figure it out more.
Yeah.
In speaking to a lot of our friends who are bisexual men, the thing is too, like a lot of these people have had similar experiences to you where it's like we've been the people that have kind of like guided them into this space where, to be fair, it's like me coming with my gay agenda and I'm like, are you sure? You sure you never thought of that? And then now everyone...
I feel like you could kiss him. Yeah. You could do it.
And now we have this experience where we'll like, after like a few months or whatever, we're gonna go like hang out with our friend group and then someone will pull us aside and they'll be like, I have something to tell the two of you specifically. And they tell us about like their first gay experience.
A guy. Yeah. And I'm like, thank you so much for telling me. I'm so happy that you're so excited to tell me. Because you know that I've been waiting for this.
Yeah. You know I'm going to be so pleased with you. Yeah.
Like, oh my God. Emily and Carbon are here. I'm going to tell them about my gay thing.
A common theme with them is like just being so scared and nervous to do it. I think so many people, and this goes for like sapphic people as well. It's like if you're a woman who's newly exploring your bisexuality, you are scared because potentially you're coming out later in life. Even like just coming out in your 20s if you've been like sexually active throughout high school, but like coming out later on too is like can be even more frightening. It's like, damn, I'm going back to being a beginner in bed. This nervous feeling of like, I'm not gonna know what I'm doing. I have to be like brand new. And that's kind of like nerve-wracking, I'd say. Yeah. Like that was my experience for sure. I was like, oh, I feel like so comfortable over here. And now like going into this new space, like I totally like you forget the fact that you have those body parts. You just think it's like a foreign object. It's like, no, it's like actually in your pants. Like, you know what to do with that.
Some are different than others, and you just gotta figure it out. You'll know what to do.
And ask people questions. It's like, what do you like? What feels good? Yeah. And to be honest, I think this is me. Like, I grew up reading inappropriate Cosmopolitan magazines and like those kinds of things. So it's like, that's where I got a lot of tips on how to do stuff with men. But it's like, there's plenty of places that you can go and just like type into the internet tricks on giving whatever gender head.
I was actually going to get the magazine.
Yeah, you can go after this. I don't know what it's like now, but like 10 to 15 years ago, it was pretty spicy. Me reading it in my bedroom at my grandma's house. I was like, ooh.
At pubs?
Yeah. Oh yeah. She couldn't read English, so she didn't know it was in that magazine.
That works.
I could watch Sex and the City at her house. I watched a lot of inappropriate stuff. She didn't know what was going on that TV. But yeah, I would say like from my perspective, it's the exact same. And I think like if you just get out of your head, flirting, no matter who the person is, like just look at them as a person, you know, and flirt with them the exact same way. It's like give somebody a compliment, like be a little touchy, look someone in their eyes, like those kind of, like it's all the same. Same.
It is. It is. I mean, I just gotta remind myself, I'm a fucking slut. I know what to do. I know what to do. Yeah. I know what the fuck to do.
There you go. And like, how was your first like kind of experiences like hooking up with guys?
They were liberating, in my opinion. They were much more liberating because I didn't need to keep on overthinking it anymore. I went to a couple of queer play parties, and there was a lot of people touching other people, and got to do some things. And it felt great. It felt so good. And I was just like, it was kind of like a fuck you to all the people in my head that were taking up space, telling me that I'm not this. I'm not supposed to do this.
You spoke like your first, like your Brokeback Mountain experience. There was a lot of shame there.
Yes.
And when Carbon asked like if that was like your sexual awakening, like you're like, no, there's a lot of shame tied to that.
Yes.
How did you let go of the shame?
I let go of the shame when I met my mentor. He met me when I was 18 and I had then been through another rehab facility. He was just a straight shooter with me, and he understood me, and he was also someone who had deconstructed his own toxic masculinity, had a similar past that I had had with substance abuse and criminal activity, and he was the only person I could connect with. And what he was able to do was allow me to get more in touch with my feminine side. An ex-biker, wouldn't you know, to teach me femininity. No, he wasn't good at it, but like he was allowing me to be okay with it and not make me feel that it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
So I told him about it, and he's just like, so I've done it too. And I'm just like, what? You've kissed guys? And he was like, yeah, it's all the same. And I'm just like, wait a second.
Yeah.
You're also saying this, and that, and it's okay? And he's like, yeah. Same thing. You know, I'm like, okay, sure. So you're not going to make me feel bad about it? You're like, no, it's okay. Do it more.
Can you tell the story of how he like actually got you in touch with your femininity?
How he got me in touch with it, it was through doing Reiki. For those who don't know, Reiki is energy work. Put me on the table one time, and we had done many sessions where we wanted to work on my anger or we wanted to work on my guilt. And I was just so stiff. I was so stiff, and I was so in my head because I had gone through a really bad breakup with someone. He's just like, you know what? You're so fucking rigid. And I'm just like, what? Wow. Look at you. Look at how you walk. You walk rigid. You're fucking 65. I was just going at him anyways. Maybe I want to get in touch with my feminine side. I think like that might be the problem. He's like, yep, that's the problem. So he put me on the table, and he did what he usually did. He hovered his hands over me and worked on certain portions of my body. And he's just like, oh, fuck, you're really toxic. I'm just like, whoa. I'm just like, this is not helping, but whatever. Afterwards, I got up from the table, and I started to see certain people will see colors, they'll feel certain sensations. Some people won't feel anything, but like it's different to every individual. And I got up, and then all of a sudden I started walking different. I started feeling myself. I started moving a certain way, and I was just like, what is this? And then, what is this? And then he's just like, wow, look at you now. And I'm just like, what did you do to me? And the pitch of my voice is going up, everything. And for like a solid week, I felt more feminine. I felt more in my body. I felt more like it was so weird. And he's just like, it's always been in you. You've just, from years and years and years of putting down, suppressing it with toxic masculinity, you've not allowed yourself to fully be. I'm allowing myself to not listen to what has been the doctrine in my head that has been forced upon me for so many years. I was watching a Vice episode on To Be a Man. They were all talking about like what masculinity looks like. What is it come into? How do they feel, and how it's in peril, so to speak, or something like that. And I'm just like, is it? Is it really? Is it going to get lost? I'm like, I don't think so. Right now, for me, when they were all speaking about it and talking about what masculinity looks like for them, what does it look like to be a man more so, I didn't subscribe to any of their definitions of it.
Being your partner and like seeing you kind of like go through this process of like really diving into your sexuality. And then I think like the gender aspect came after. I feel like for a lot of men, especially bisexual men, gender is intrinsically tied to sexuality. Like the second that you express your sexual desires, like maybe you just want to like explore with men, now your gender is in question, like your masculinity is in question.
Of course.
And according to society, according to a lot of like heterosexual women, for sure, is like you cannot go and explore that while still being super masculine, while still being like X, Y, and Z, all of these things.
A protector, a provider,
totally.
a leader.
It's like,
you can't be a leader if you like guys.
How can you tell somebody all these things, you know, and put them in a box in that way where they can't grow and they can't develop? And then, you know, on the other hand, you're saying, well, he just wants to be this, he just wants to be that, he doesn't want to be that. Well, then don't put them in a box. Don't put these people in a box. Let them be human. Let them explore that for themselves.
This next section that we want to dive into is kind of a question. What's keeping bisexual men in the closet? To give people context who don't realize this, but according to the Journal of Bisexuality, women are 3 times more likely to identify as bisexual than men are. And like you said, like at these bisexual parties that our friends and collaborators are throwing, is like it's very rare that you're gonna see men there.
They're there. There's just like there's certainly a lot. You're like, okay, how many men are here? 1, 5. Okay, that's it.
Do we think that bisexual men are really that uncommon?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, because I recently went to a bi men support group, and I think a lot of men are just bisexual men, at least, are in the closet, or they're
down low.
On the down low, for sure. And a lot of like I know some individuals as well, but that don't want to present it to their families. And I think there's a little bit being a BIPOC individual and being the cultural pressure too to be in a het relationship. A lot of them were not wanting to even come out. Like some of them would introduce themselves and they're just like, I don't know if I am, and I don't know if I want to be out. And that was just, I felt for them, because I know what that feeling feels like. You know that you have privilege. You know that you have safety and security as a man. So why do you want to other yourself more? And even being as a BIPOC man, you're already othered. Why would I want to do that?
Yeah, it's like taking away privileges as soon as like you come out as bisexual. Yeah, and I think in terms of like what the Journal of Bisexuality said, where women are 3 times more likely to come out and be like out and proud bisexuals, I think it does have to do with the privilege part.
Sure.
Like when you're a woman and you're bisexual, you're not necessarily seen as somebody who has been stripped of privilege. You don't lose your ability to be a leader or provider. You also don't lose like your masculinity, which is seen as also like this big privilege, right? Like you kind of
don't have that in the first place.
Exactly, but that's what I mean. You kind of stay more or less the same in terms of the societal privileges that you're assumed to have.
Sure.
Whereas with men, they coming out as bisexual, it kind of strips you of all of that.
Yes.
100%. I think it's because of how sexualized it is. Like the POV really for it is like, because seeing two women together is like meant to be for like the pleasure of men, whatever, like by societal expectations is like, since it still benefits men, it's okay. Two men together, it actually goes against patriarchy, and like that's not okay.
Yeah.
And I think like going back to like this like on the down low thing, you're exactly right. There's also a study about that the leading reason for men to be on the down low is, first of all, the majority of men on the down low is actually POC men.
Yeah.
And their primary reason is for avoiding like further stigmatization and like reactions from like their family members and just like people in general, because they're already experiencing that level of like stigmatization. Whereas like for non-racialized men who are like on this like kind of like down low position, it's often attributed to being uncertain about your sexuality or being in this like transition phase. And like you're like, I'm gonna get there, but I just like am deciding right now. But for like POC men, it's actually like out of fear of further stigmatization.
I was fearful of even coming on because like we had spoken about it. I was fearful about like, you know, people from my past coming and knowing about it, and some family members knowing about it. What kind of brought me into it is that like I could be an example. I have to be an example because there needs to be more out there. Even like looking it up online, there's not a lot out there.
You are one of the many bisexual men that we reached out to like do this episode. No one else was willing to like come on and be public about it in this way. So like I also want to celebrate you for like being willing to share your story like this. It's like it is a scary thing to do, and a lot of people aren't willing to do it. For me, I don't think bisexuality is actually as uncommon as we were even seeing.
No, I
even
think it's
in
the
women,
majority.
I think it's okay.
What are you talking about?
First of all,
you're Hannah Montana. You get the best of both worlds.
First of all, it's the majority. It is like statistically the majority of the queer community is bisexual, but I will argue that it's the majority of the whole population.
Oh yeah, no.
People just don't know. Even
For
like I think even
sure.
a lot of women just don't know either, and like they are unsure. You know what I'm saying? Like it hasn't been presented
Or
to them.
they don't count it. There's a lot of people that will do some gay shit and they're like, oh, but that doesn't count because that's not my usual experience. It's not like the regular scheduled programming. I kissed a guy one time. You know, or like whatever.
Oh, I've heard many of those. I've heard many of those where
doesn't count.
It doesn't count. I'm not gay. I'm not gay. No, we're just trying something.
And like that's okay if that feels better for you, but I think you are welcome in the queer community and the bisexual community if that feels right for you. I think like bisexuality, for people to know, it's a huge spectrum. It doesn't mean 50-50 whatsoever.
Nope.
You can be more homoromantic, meaning you prefer relationships of the same sex, or you can be more heteroromantic, and like it is very much a sliding scale. And bisexuality welcomes everyone. So there's the bi agenda for you.
You could be like 95.5 in terms of like percentage. And you could still, you know, like be in the community, be queer. Like, you know, maybe your boundary is that you as a dude only like making out with dudes and you don't want to take it further than that. And that is like enough for you. Sure, whatever. If that's good enough for you, then like that's fine. But like it doesn't mean that you have to be like, oh, it doesn't count. Why doesn't it count?
I think there's also like, you know, where we try to like measure what people's queerness is or what their bisexuality is. You know, like there sometimes is that measure. There is that measure out there, and I've noticed that. Like, have you done this? Have you done that? It doesn't count.
Totally. Or it's like not queer enough. Even like with bisexuals who have never experienced something, they like really hesitate to claim bisexuality because it's like, oh, I'm like in a hetero relationship and I have these thoughts, but I've never acted on it, so I don't have any receipts, so I can't claim bisexuality. Whereas we're telling you that you in fact can. Join. I think a question to ask maybe is like, why do you think there's so much hostility in the queer community to be accepting and inclusive of all?
There's a lot of pride in being gay. There's a lot of pride in being lesbian. There's a lot of social movements through that. So like, why wouldn't you want to be identifying with that and holding true to those communities? Also holding, you know, maybe some safety in that. But when we are in the times that we're in, fucking pushed down by the right, we don't need to find the differences between us. We need to find community, because by pushing each other away from each other and finding, oh, well, he's bi or he's this or they're this or they're that, we're going to be more divided especially when the right is coming down on us and really not giving us equal rights, right? Like not giving us that space that we need.
The tea is like, now that I've come out as bisexual in like this past like year and a bit, I've met so many people who are also bisexual, who are like very fierce advocates in the LGBTQ community, who do a lot of like nonprofit work in the LGBTQ community. And like, that is the true tea, is like, even people who are in like these hetero-presenting relationships, is like, we are pushing this movement forward. It's not like an us versus you. It's like, welcome us in. We're all fighting the same fight together.
Yeah.
And
It is.
the more you welcome bisexual people into the community, like, the bigger our community gets, the stronger we get. And
Absolutely.
that's what we need right now.
Yeah, I think community is like the same reason why queer people fight for, I don't know, name another movement that doesn't really involve me. And like, we fight for it. Like, I will
Yes.
fight for trans rights. I will fight for abortion rights. I will fight for immigration rights, etc. And the thing is that none of those things directly affect me. Those people need allies to fight for them. The same way that I need allies to fight for me.
Yeah.
And it's like, if it's only one-sided, like, why should you expect any sort of benefits, any sort of privileges, any sort of like equal rights for yourself if you can't fight it for other people? I think that if you only fight for your own rights, you don't deserve them.
Queer liberation is liberation for all, whether you're part of the queer community or not. Like, queer folks fight for all liberated and all oppressed minorities. And I think like the truth is, even though you're a minority, all together, all of these separate minorities, we're actually the majority.
Yeah.
If we all fight together.
Yeah.
The people who are thriving under this system are actually like the 1% of people.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know, there's been comments in the past that we've gotten where they're like, well, honestly, like, I prefer to be selfish. I prefer to fight for my own rights only because it's my vote. And I'm like, yeah, for sure. If you want to do that, you can do that. There's nobody stopping you from doing that.
Sure.
And I'm not saying that you can't, because you can.
Yeah.
You have free will. I personally think, and I am of the opinion, that if you don't fight for the liberation of all, you don't deserve liberation yourself.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
It's harsh, but I like it.
sometimes you gotta give the harsh truth.
Yeah. What's your advice for other bisexual men who are still in the closet?
Keep on going out there. Keep on trying to find events. Find which events work for you. Find which events hold space for you. It's going to be a weeding out process, but you will find that community and find the people and the individuals that hold space for you. It's going to be trial and error. It's going to suck at times, but then there's going to be liberating moments at times. And, you know, there's the Toronto Bi Network. They put out a great platform. I found them to be really great. But yeah, find those resources, find that community. Also, you're going to have to develop a little bit of a tougher skin in the sense of, don't be a hard man, but to be, you know, knowing that there's going to be some people being catty with you and you're going to be okay because you're going to find the people that you need. In that community. I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here to support you.
I think my advice too would be is like, if you're hoping to find people who want to be allies to you, remember that you also need to be an ally to others. So I think educating yourself on the queer community as you're going to go and enter it, it's like, one, that'll make you feel a bit more confident because you're like, I know how to show up in this space. I know how to be a good ally, and that'll make you feel like better and less of like a newbie. Also, a lot of other people are going to really appreciate that if you understand their lived experiences. And what I'd say is like, if you're a bi man who's just like coming across this episode, is like, check out our other episodes and like learn about other identities. And I think that'll make you feel a lot more comfortable in the community. One thing you were saying is like, you felt very comfortable in these straight spaces because that's all you knew. So it's like, educate yourself on like what these queer spaces are like, what queer folk are like. And then when you go in there, you're going to feel a lot more comfortable and you're going to find your people. It is kind of a process of like rediscovering your inner child. Like we were saying, it's like, it's finding out who you were before like toxic masculinity had its grip on you. And it's like, it's a big unlearning journey, you know, and like, we won't take it lightly. Like that is a very big journey to set yourself out on, but it feels really good to unlearn that stuff and to find yourself again.
Doing the research definitely helps. I think what helped me was being an ally prior to that, working in with other non-for-profits and learning how to be that hold space, understand people's identities as well too. Know your stuff. Know
Yeah.
your stuff. It's there.
Get some affirmations for yourself. It's like, I am queer enough. Like, I am.
totally.
I,
You gotta
these-
say that daily.
Honestly, it's like
You gotta
this
say it
space is
daily.
equally for me as it is
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
Remind yourself that just because these voices may be loud in that room, it doesn't mean it's how everybody in that room feels. You are welcome in those spaces.
Yeah. Try checking out.
Try finding me.
Try finding me. If you can't find me, try finding queer spaces as opposed to perhaps just gay spaces or perhaps just lesbian
Yeah.
spaces. Because if that's not you, then that might not be the space where you actually feel the most celebrated and the most comfortable. And if you're in Toronto, check out Bye Bye Baby. That's a bisexual space.
Word.
And you'll be celebrated. Thank you so much, Brock, for joining us today, sharing your experience and giving more visibility to bisexual men.
Thank you for having me.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to check out our previous episode on bisexuality. It's called Is Bisexuality Queer Enough? Make sure to subscribe. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast app, make sure to leave us a 5-star review because it really helps the podcast tremendously, like you wouldn't believe it. But that is everything that we got for you today. And until next time,
Peace.